Hello there, Basallo here, and today I'll be explaining about a Java applet program which is entitled as Cooperative Transaction, which I can compare similarly to a banking system in which we can create, log in, deposit an amount to an account, withdraw an amount from an account, and display the PIN of the account or display the code. And here in this Java program, I created 7 Java classes. 6 of them are Java applets, and each of this Java applet, I created one HTML for each of this Java applet so that we can call a document. Later on, I'll be explaining about that. So here we have here another Java class which is not an applet. So this Java class has the infos of an account. So basically it has an account name, account number, account PIN, code, mother's maiden name, and the balance of an account. So here is a sneak peek of our Java applet. So to start with the begin class, so I have imported some important points here. So we have imported the applet context. So what is an applet context? Applet context is an interface which is being implemented by the applet, and here we also have imported the java.net URL so that we can make use of the paths of our document, HTML document. So inside the begin applet, we have declared as variable size in size. So this is basically to determine the size of the savings account array, and this 0 represents empty, so there's still nothing in our savings account. So here we have created an instance, an array instance of the savings account object. Why array instance? So that each element of this array represents one account, and this array has a maximum of 99. So here we have declared also a string file name, and these strings will be used later on in the parameter passing. And here the URL, so URL is also the same with the uniform resource locator, and we created a 3 instance reference for the URL. So this is basically going to be the path of a document or something like that. And we also have created an instance reference begin to refer the applet context. So as I said earlier, this is an interface that is being implemented by the Java applet, and it has methods that that is very useful for showing document or getting the parameter from a document, a HTML document rather. So inside a void init, which will be executed first in launching our applet. So here begin is being assigned to the get applet context method. This method returns the applet context of our applet. So this basically, so what is an applet context? So it is an environment which we can allow our applet to query and affect the environment that where our applet runs, and in this case it is running on a HTML document. And here you have assigned file name 1 equals to get parameter with an argument of login. So this get parameter method is also located in the interface method. So I will introduce you also to our HTML. So here I created a JavaScript language so that we can make use of a function that will call a method in from our applet. Then that method performs a show document method to show a document, an HTML document file. So here, file name will be equal to the get parameter login, which is this one. So we are basically passing parameters here. So I created the login parameter with the value of the login.html, which is basically the login applet. And also here, create parameter, and with the value of that, create that HTML, which corresponds to the create applet. So here I have created two methods for showing documents, so I will explain that later. So let's get started with the call login javascript. So this is basically going to be called inside the action perform of each of our buttons. So as you can see here, call login. So once the login account button is being clicked, this will be executed, and inside this method is to call the function from a javascript of our HTML. So basically, begin that show document. Show document is, as I said earlier, it is a method from the applet context, and here we have created your URL, and inside the URL constructor is a sudo URL, which instead of putting a path here, we instead put the JavaScript colon and a function name. So once the button of the login account will be clicked, this will be executed, and inside the function get login from our JavaScript inside the HTML, we created a document that begin that get login. This is basically the method from our applet. So as far as what I know about the JavaScript, JavaScript treated document as the model, or in comparison with the Java, the model for the Java is the objects, the classes. So here in the JavaScript, it has a model of document, then it has an attribute, in which also the same with the Java, which, for example, we have a class and then an element of that class and then another attribute. So just like that, it is also the same, but it uses a document model. So document that begin, so this begin is the name of our applet. So document that begin, then that applet, and then this method will be called. So as you can see, this method will be called. So begin that show document, where inside the show document argument is the path 1. So this will show the document of the URL path 1. So to get back with the init, we assign, so code base is assigned to get code base method from our applet context. So this basically returns a location of the .class file of the source code, and as long as this is being assigned to a path or the location of the .class, inside the try block we assign the path 1 to create a new URL. Inside the URL constructor is the code base, which is this one, and convert it to string, and then we append the file name of the HTML. So basically, both our Java classes and HTML should be located in one particular location, so that we can make use of this code base. So here, path 1 is equal to the location of our login.html. So, I think I can show you that. So here, this is the location for our Java classes and the Java HTML. So here it is located here in the C user downloads Basallo bin. So this will be basically be used, so I can show you later on. So here, let's try to run it here. Open with Internet Explorer. Allow block content. So this applet basically depends on the browser that is dependent to the user. If the Java is being being enabled in the browser. So first, we will begin with the create button. So as I said earlier, once this create button is being clicked, a JavaScript will be a method from a a function from a JavaScript will be called, and that function will be calling an applet method. So as you can see, it calls the create account applet. So this will be the next one that we're going to tackle. So here in the create class, there is nothing very special to it, because it is just basically the same importation with the begin class with the help of the applet interface, applet context interface, and the help of the URL. So what I am going to explain here is the action performed once the sign up button of the create applet is being clicked. So here we have a first for loop. So it has an initialization of the integer I assigned to the 0 and a condition of I which is less than 100, which is until the last element of our what do you call this, our array elements of accounts. So I is incremented. So basically our savings account array element is all null. So basically this will be executed first for the first creation of account, then this will be intended, this for loop is intended once there's the second account will be going to be what do you call this, going to be created, then the size, the static size of the begin object, this is the int static int size that is being declared in the begin.java. So this will basically going to be assigned if this else statement is going to be executed. The size will be going to be appended or added by 1. So therefore, if the size is equal to 0, that means that there is already one what do you call this, one element inside the savings account instance. So this is going to be executed right after the second iteration, or second what we call this second perform of the sign up button. Here inside the second for loop, it has an initialization of integer I equals to the value of the begin.size. So this is basically going to be 0. I is equal to 0 because our savings account instance array is all null. So basically 0, I is equal to 0 with a condition of I is less than begin.size plus 1. So therefore I is less than 0, then I will be incremented. So here we're going to get the text from the text field. So this is basically going to be assigned to the a name. So a name will be assigned to the the string that is being input from the user. So here a number will be assigned to the value of the account number of the new account. So this is basically here. So as you can see, I is equal to 0, therefore 0 plus 1 equals to 1, so that will be the account number of that account. And here we have also the pin, which is the same with the a name, which gets the text from the pin field, from the text field. Here a code, get text from the code field, and the account mother's maiden name will be assigned to the value of the text that is being inputted by the user. So right after that will be uh, the next line will be intended for calling the constructor of the savings account, which is here, this one. So this is basically the setter for an account. So if we're going to create, we need this constructor to add the infos of the the account. So therefore, the array index will be 0, so this is the first account that will be created. So the a name, account number, a pin, account code, and the mother's maiden name will be passed to that constructor. Therefore that array element will not be null anymore. So below in this code, so this is just basically the same with what I talked about lately in the begin. So this is just going to be a parameter passing for the next web page that will be going to be show, or will be going to be accessed after the login, or this will be the parameter to go back to the begin as long as the user has already done creating his account. So this will be basically the next move of the user after creating an account. So inside this login.java, so I instantiated here the menu applet, so I will discuss this later. So we have also declared a private JPassword field. So this is intended for the text field, so that the password will not be viewed by other people, so that only the user knows what he types in. So that is the function of that password field. So here we declared two string. So this is basically the same with the begin.java that I talked earlier, and this one. So we have declared a static string a pin login. This will be the variable for the input from the user, the pin that he inputs, and this a pin main will be the variable for the pin that will be going to be scanned. So each array element has an a pin, so this will be the variable for it. And same with the a code login, so this will be from the user, and this will be from the database. So here inside the login button action perform, so we have a for loop. So this is intended for the login. So basically the a pin login will be assigned to the value of the pin field. So it gets the we have here a get password method. So this is used by the J password field. So this will be the argument for that, and the string value of, so that we can scan each of the what do you call this, each of the value from the input box is assigned to pin login. So this will basically going to be assigned as a pin login, and that get password is going to be converted to the to string. And then a pin main, so basically in this for loop, so it started at the 0, so the index of this is 0, so it will get the pin of that account, then that will be assigned to this variable. So check field, so this is a method used for prompting the user that he needs to, or this will be used to prompt the user that he the user inputs a wrong password, and this will change the color of the labels to red if it's the field is empty. And here we have an if statement. So once the apin login is matched with the apin main, so this apin login that equals is basically a method so that we can compare string values, so that if that they really match with each other. So if this is satisfied, then this will be executed. A code login variable will be assigned to the string value of the password field of the code field. So this is the same with the apin. And here a code main, we're going to get the code of that account, which is index 0. So we're going to get that code, and we're going to store it in the a code main variable. So we're going to compare this. So here in the if statement, if that is being what do you call this, if this is being called or executed, then inside this if block this will be executed. So this is just, let's say, the same with the other Java classes. What I created is the a method that calls the JavaScript, and that JavaScript will execute a function that calls an applet method. So here this m dot number, so this is the instance of the menu Java applet. So we're going to assign the static number of that. This is an integer value, so this will be used for the account number. So as what is the I of the value inside this for loop, so that will be assigned to this number, then break. So this is still the same with the recent applet that we already tackled. So next will be the menu. So as long as the user has made a successful login, so he will be directed to the menu page. So this will be the applet for it. So this is basically quite similar to the recent Java classes Java applet that I explained lately. So here int number, this is intended, so this is the number of the, or let's say the index number of the the array index of the SA instance of the savings account. So that's the use of this that we assign a value from the login applet, so that we can get what is the array index of that account. So back to the menu. So here inside of it we have some UI interfaces here, and then here the deposit button. So I have here declared a double type of amount, and then amount will be equal to the text that is being input by the user. So this will get an amount will be assigned to the value of that field, and here we're going to call the method of from the savings account, which is to deposit an amount. So as you can see here, deposit an amount, so it will just basically going to add the amount that is being input, that is an input from the user. And then J option pane, so this will just pop up a message that an amount of the input amount has been added, and then the label, the balance label, or the balance let's say text, will be going to be set to the new account balance, which is the added here, and then returns. So this just going to be returned to the menu here. Then next we have also a withdraw button. So this is intended for the withdraw purpose. So here we have an double amount and double withdraw. So we have two double types here. So first, the AMT still going to be the container for the input from the user, and then withdraw will be equal to the account balance minus the amount. So this is basically used for checking, because according to my code, we cannot perform a withdraw if the amount of the account balance will be less than 500. So we can only perform withdraw once the amount that is will be going to be left in that account balance should be greater than or equal to 500. So this is the purpose of that. So I have created an if statement. So if statement to validate if the account balance of the user is below 500, then this will be executed, and so as long as the withdraw will be less than the static field, the M balance, so this will be the minimum balance, so this will be executed. Then a pop-up will show that the balance of the account should not be less than 500, so it can perform a withdraw. And then if this statement is not satisfied, then this else statement will be executed, which is to call the withdraw function, withdraw method of the savings account here. So it's just the opposite of this deposit, which is to withdraw. So back to the menu here. This is just the same with the what do you call this, the deposit. So begin will be withdraw method will be called, and then a pop-up will show up that an amount of the input amount from the user has been deducted from the account balance, and then the text from the balance will be set to the new deducted balance, and then returns to the menu. So I think that would be enough. So we also have a buttons for displaying the pin and also displaying the info of an account. So as we see, this is just all the same with the methods that I am making for calling the JavaScript. So we have last two Java applets, which are the display info and display pin. So once their buttons will be clicked, then a new web page will be reloaded currently in the browser. So here inside this display info applet, so there's nothing special also about in here. So this is just going to display the info of an account, which is to show the account name, account number, and the balance of the account. And then we have a button to get back to the menu. So here we have an instance for the menus that we can call again, so that we can pass a a static number to be assigned to the int variable number to the menu, so that we can get back to that account. So this number will be used also to pass a value to the number of the menu, integer number variable. So here there's nothing special. We're just displaying the info of the user, and here this is just the same methods that we are making to show document and then the JavaScript for calling the JavaScript. So here the back button, as long as it is being performed, it executes the call method, call menu JavaScript to call the function of a JavaScript, which is the get menu, and that get menu function executes to call an applet method, which is the get menu method from this applet, and which executes a display show document to show the document of the menu.html. So here we arrive at the last applet, which is the display pin. So once the user has clicked the display pin button, this applet will be shown. And here similarly we have an instance for the menu, so that we can use this instance to pass the index number of an account, to which we can go back to that menu with the same account. So here there's nothing special about the importation, because we're just similarly using the applet context in the java.net URL function, URL class. So here this is a little bit different, because it asks the users to input the code in the mother's maiden name, so that we can this is intended for the security purposes, so that we can also implement the encapsulation object-oriented programming mechanism. So here we have a text field for the code and the mother's maiden name. So inside the submit button, we have here an declare the string a code login, a code main, a code login, a main. So this is just similar with the login applet, which we declared as a code login as the container for the input from the user, the code that the user inputs, and the a code main gets the each code for from the security account, savings account.java, so that we'll be using this to compare it with the input from the user, And then we have here the AMM login, which is the same with the code login that stores the input from the user, and the A mother's maiden name main. We're going to use this to contain the each element of mother's maiden name inside that uh, security savings account instance. So because that is an array, so we'll be checking that later. So a code login is assigned to the text that is being input from the user in the code field, the text field of the code, and the a code main goes to the number. So number is used in, so this number integer is from the menu. I forgot to mention that earlier. So where's display pin? Oh, I mean, so as you can see, this number, we will see the value of this inside the init method, which is the number is assigned to the m.number, which is the static integer in the menu class. So that will be, so for example, if the index of that account is 0, then number will be equal to 0. So that will be used to access the mother's maiden name of the main. So so here a code main will be assigned to uh, the which is this number is equal to 0, so that index will be to the first element, which is the first savings account. So that code of that this method will be called, so this method returns the code, I mean the code of that account, because code and pin are private fields in the savings account. So that is the purpose of the encapsulation. So as I said earlier, so these two string variables will be compared. So this is the purpose of this if statement. So if a code login that equals, if that string equals to this a code main string, then this will be executed. So another validation will be performed. So the account mother's maiden name, the input from the user, will be assigned to the mother's maiden name field that he input. So and another execution will be use the account mother's maiden name main will be equal to the mother's maiden name of that account, and then we're going to validate if that is these two string variables match. So once it is matched, then a pop-up will show with a message carrying the pin of the account. And then if this is not being satisfied, then a pop-up will show that it is in the code or the mother's maiden name is invalid. Same with this if here, the outside of this inner if is a pop-up, so it is will show an invalid code because this one is the code processing. So here we have a back button to get back to the menu, and inside the menu we also have an exit button, so this serves as a log out button. So here we have a calling the destroy method, which is the void destroy. So this is also one of the 5 life cycle of an applet. So next we'll be going to test our applet. So now we have arrived for the testing part of this video. So to begin with, the first applet, which is the begin. So we're going to open the begin HTML. Allow black content, then it shows up. So first we're going to create an account. Let's say we have pin 1 code 2 name. Let's just say a Basallo name, and then my mother's maiden name, Han. And then let's try to see if that signs up, and we are being prompted. So message from web page. So this is a JavaScript function, which is an alert function also. So this is from the create applet, which I create a method for calling the show message, what we call a show message function that contains the alert function. So account successfully created, click back to login, and then click back and goes back to the begin HTML, and then let's try if we can log in it. So we're going to test if I'll try to input a wrong pin and then a wrong code. So that's basically not going to log in. So as you can see, you can't log in, and then we try to input the correct pin and code, and there you go, we are in already. So as you can see, I am the account number 1, so because I am the first, that was the first account that we created. So let's try to see if we can perform a deposit function. So let's say we can deposit 100 and deposit. A message is shown, an amount of 100 has been added. And let's try to see if this changes, our balance changes later, and it changes. And let's try to check if we can withdraw. Let's say we can withdraw 50. An amount of 50 has been deducted. Let's see if that works. It really works. So, and then for now we're going to check if we can withdraw when our balance will become lesser than 500, and a message will show your balance should not be less than 500. So let's try if it was not deducted. So it was not deducted. And here let's try display info. So it just going to display the info about this account, and let's try to get back. Goes back to the menu, and so the last part will be the display pin function. So let's try if that really works. So my code was 2 and my mother's maiden name was Han. So let's try to check if this displays our pin, and it displays our pin, which was actually correct, which is 1. Then get back and let's see if we can exit. So that's end our explanation. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Gamal Basallo, and thank you for watching.